Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I am coming to you this morning from my desk at the Merrimack Valley Center for Mindfulness. And as I prepare to teach class this morning, I wanted to share an experience with you that for me really exemplifies the power of a committed mind, body, spirit practice, and is one of the reasons that I do what I do, and that I stay the course. So, as some of you know, I have been volunteer teaching mindfulness and creative writing in corrections facilities for the last 8 years. So I recently made a switch. For the first time, I am working with incarcerated women. And it's been a challenge in a different way than other facilities in which I've worked, and also amazing. So yesterday, I was teaching our group the sacred pause practice. And we were all sitting around. We pushed together a bunch of tables and sit around to create as collegial a workshop atmosphere as is possible in that facility. And so we did a little movement practice, some breath work, and some meditation. And then I shared with them this sacred pause practice that I learned from one of my beloved teachers, Sylvia Boorstein, many, many years ago. So the practice is this. When something catches us, when we feel that, that barb, that getting riled up, when we feel it in the body, maybe there's the set of the jaw, or, that stomach clenching or tightness at the throat. We know something has happened and we're caught. So once we notice that, we pause, we say, relax, sweetheart. Take a breath in, take a breath out. Maybe repeat that instruction 1 or 2 more times. And then we say, now, what needs to be done? So I shared this with the group, and we discussed each step, and that we clearly say these things, becoming our own mindfulness teacher. And so then we were discussing it, and one of the women in the group, she sits in general with her mouth pressed into a thin line and her arms crossed and her body very tense. Her gaze is veiled. And she said, I get it, the practice is stop. And I said, that is not this practice. This practice begins with, relax, sweetheart. And she said, well, I can't say that. And I said, well, let's find a word that you can say. And even if it doesn't resonate with you right now, even if you don't believe it, we need to find a word, that you can say. And I threw out a few examples, sweetheart didn't work, so honey, doll face, whatever. And she said, well, it would have to be something that my father called me when I was a child. And I said, well, what was that? And she said, baby doll. I said, perfect. So your instruction is to begin the practice saying, relax, baby doll. And she said, I can't do that. And something, came over me or through me, and I stood up and I walked around the table and I stood before her. And I said, may I touch you? And she said, what? And I said, may I just put my hand on your shoulder? And she said, thank you for asking. Yes. And I said, thank you. And I knelt down before her and I put my hand on her shoulder. And I looked into her eyes, and my gaze was steady and clear. And with my hand on her shoulder, I said, relax, baby doll. And she looked away. And I said, relax, baby doll. And she looked at me. And my gaze was steady, and I stayed, and I kept my hand on her shoulder, and I said, "Relax, baby doll." And her shoulders relaxed, and her eyes filled with tears. And we cried a moment together, and she hugged me, and it was amazing, right? To see this woman, maybe for the first time, have a little compassion for herself. So, the gifts of a mind, body, spirit practice just are beyond imagining. And I wish this same self-love and compassion for each one of you. The light within me bows to the light within you. Namaste.